Welcome to the 5-Pack, where we talk about the 5 things that matter, 5 things that will matter, and a daily pack rip. Here is your host, Kyle Elfring.
Yes, indeed. We welcome you in on a Thursday as we continue our first week. Yes, the initial week of the 5-Pack right here at the Better Sports Network. I am Kyle Elfring, producer Heather Klein. What do we got for you in the next hour? Well, it's a lot like yesterday and the day before and the day before that, but with different topics. It's pretty simple around here. We give you 5 things that mattered from the night before, 5 things that will matter tonight, and we conclude with our traditional pack break. Today's pack break is not truly traditional. We've done baseball. We've done basketball. Yesterday, we did some hoops with our pack break. We kind of did it in honor of the NBA's play-in tournament. Today on the 5-Pack, we are nearing one of the favorite seasons in all of North America, the NHL playoffs. So today on the 5-Pack, we will open, again with Upper Deck, 1991 Upper Deck hockey. We'll see where it takes us. 12 cards in this pack. Looks like we're looking for some sort of a Brett Hull Hockey Heroes sort of card. So we'll get to that later in the show, and we'll see where the stroll down memory lane kind of takes us here on the 5-Pack. Let us get rolling with things that mattered from Wednesday. We'll get you set with things that will matter moving into Thursday. It is a bit of a lighter baseball schedule. Coming up on Thursday, we got a little bit of afternoon action, a little bit of evening action, but nothing like 14 or 15 games. We're looking more at like 6 or 7 games coming up on this Thursday. So not a ton to get amped about, but still plenty to think about on this Thursday. First, though, let us take a look back at our Wednesday that was. And unfortunately, and I'll just be honest with you, this is kind of going to be a thing all season. Injuries. I'm going to start you with an injury. I'm going to end you with an injury. Now, in between, we'll try and stay away from injuries. But I got a couple of big injuries to talk about. Our first one comes, where else? Minneapolis. With who else? Byron Buxton. Yes, again, I give you another in an endless array of Byron Buxton injuries. Here's the latest to get us rolling in 2023.
Over the mound towards second base and a big-time collision. The out is made at second base, and the fielder has the right to the ball.
Yeah, you have to allow the fielder to field it, and it's just tries to avoid him. He runs right into Sosa, so he's out on the play.
Ouch. Ouch. NBC Chicago with the video there. Thank you to them for providing it. I almost wish they hadn't. Like, it hurts. And I own Byron Buxton, admittedly, in one spot. It's a spot where he's been a keeper of mine for years. And I get it. I should let it go. I should be done. But for whatever reason, I can't cut the rope. I can't. I just never give up on Byron Buxton. What will it take for me to give up on Byron Buxton? Maybe it's that. I don't know. Dude, you watch that play, and it's like only Byron Buxton. Like, that ball's hit in front of him. He knows what's happening. The second baseman's moving up to get the ball. A typical baseball player would stop, right? You don't run into the guy. Remember, they still have to either tag you or go to second base. So you're actually better served to stop. Don't run. Instead, Byron Buxton appears to try and avoid a collision, but then only creates a collision. He goes head over heels or heels over head. Byron Buxton, in effect, becomes a football player. He becomes a running back trying to leap over the pylon into the end zone. He gets upended. It's dreadful. Now, we have not heard anything as of now on Byron Buxton's status. But come on, people. This is Byron Buxton. We're going to get an IL stint, right? It's the first of like 3 this season. I don't know if many guys survive that sort of collision. I can't really guarantee you because you never see that sort of collision. It's only when the injury magnet known as Byron Buxton is on the field that you see things like that. So it's irritating. It's infuriating. Hey, if you're angry about the injury, that means you're just like me. It means you have Byron Buxton on a team. And you, just like me, you're a sucker for Byron Buxton. So we'll just be a sucker again. We'll deal with it again. On and on and on with Byron Buxton. I would suspect an IL stint. I don't think it's guaranteed, but there's something there. It's a hip, it's a shoulder, it's a knee, it's an ankle, it's a head. I don't know. It's something. The good news is he walked off under his own power. I guess he wasn't officially removed from the game because he was DHing in that game against the White Sox. So his time around didn't come up later in the game. The game concluded before he was up to bat again. So he was never really officially removed, although I don't think he would have made that at bad. You know, it's kind of comical. The goal of the Twins this year, they've been doing it all year. They've been mainly DHing Byron Buxton, and about once every 4 days, he's been off. So he's kind of a pseudo regular. And the whole intention of that setup was to avoid what we just saw, the injury. Unfortunately, we can't get designated pinch runners yet. Maybe Rob Manfred is going to institute that next year. But what matters is that here we are again. Byron Buxton wondering about his health. Let's move on to item number 2. You know, when you talk home runs from the New York Yankees, you talk about 2 guys. You talk about Aaron Judge. You talk about Giancarlo Stanton, right? Those are the 2 guys. Well, there may be a 3rd man that will need to add to that Yankees home run power list.
That one's crushed into center field. There it goes. Cordero does it again. He ties the game at 3.
Well, Aaron Boone talks about it all the time. Easy power from the left side.
Ain't no doubt about that. Easy power. That's what Franchi Cordero does. Aren't we supposed to say, all rise for Franchi? It's not Frenchie. It's Franchi. Who knows? I don't know. Anyway, another home run for him yesterday. That is 4 home runs on the season, a grand total of 7 hits. Yes, Television Network with the call there. Here's the issue with Franchi Cordero. He is very important. This is the whole, why does it matter? The Yankees need left-handed power. They need a guy like Franchi Cordero. Does he have power? Absolutely. This is not a guy who, oh my gosh, can you believe he has 4 home runs through 2 weeks? It's nothing like that. What this is in effect a journeyman power hitter who really does 2 things. He hits home runs. You just saw one there. And he strikes out. You didn't see the strikeouts there. Franchi Cordero has not had his epic run of whiffs just yet. But Franchi Cordero's career is power and whiffs. That's what it is. And we are 750 plate appearances into Franchi Cordero's career. That's about 2.5 seasons worth, and he's never really been the guy. You know, he's had weeks where he's the guy, but he's never had like a whole season to be the guy. So that 750 plate appearances, it's spread out, 5 years or so. The problem is in those 750 plate appearances, the dude has 260 strikeouts. He is striking out over a third of his plate appearances. Now, this year, we're not running into that just yet, but it's going to happen. What we got going on with Franchi Cordero is a hot streak. Now, if he can somehow maintain this for a month or 2, that is huge for the Yankees because it does give them another threat. Right now, they're not getting much of a threat from the other guys in this lineup. Rizzo has been okay. LeMahieu still looking kind of old. Josh Donaldson is not back. Anthony Volpe, we talked about him yesterday on the program. He did lead off, had a hit, but nothing special there. Cabrera had a nice hit. Yeah. Overall, it's like you're still getting Judge things. Stanton's been fine, but we need more. Like, if you're going to catch the Tampa Bay Rays, who we'll talk about later, of course. You got to get more from this offense. And you might need more from your pitching. The Yankees are fine. They're a playoff team. They should be. But there are cracks that are out there. And left-handed power is one of them. They've been searching for this guy. We'll see if Franchy Cordero can be that guy. Rizzo was that guy last year. I don't have much faith in Rizzo this year. He's old. He's got a bad back. I mean, he'll still pop 20 home runs because of Yankee Stadium and that right field porch. But to me, the exciting thing is Cordero right now. I personally don't have faith. Yankee fans probably do. But for me, it was good to see yesterday. If you're looking for that extra oomph in the pinstripe lineup, I just don't think it's going to be long-term with Franchy Cordero. Let's go to our third item that mattered from yesterday, and we'll stay with another team in New York. We'll jump boroughs, though, and we'll head over to Queens. Let's talk about the Mets. The big question with this team coming into the year outside of, man, how rich is Steve Cohen? The other question was, oh, man, you lost Edwin Diaz at the World Baseball Classic. How will you ever replace Edwin Diaz? And most people thought, well, the Mets will trade for someone. They'll go and pick the pocket of the Pittsburgh Pirates. They'll go and get David Bednar, you know. Well, they haven't, at least not yet. Instead, what they've done is turn to 2, 3, even 4 arms in their bullpen and just kind of figure it out as they go. Yesterday against the Padres, a couple of those big arms in the bullpen kind of flip-flopped roles. David Robertson and Adam Ottavino.
We'll see how Robertson attacks Odor. Low ball hitter with pop.
Robertson ready now, the 1-2. Swung on and missed, strike 3. Got him with that knuckle curve, side retired. No.
3 batters.
3-2 to Machado. Line toward the middle, one hopper to McNeil, to Lindor on the first double play, and the ball game is over. Ottavino gets the double play grinder from Machado. They beat San Diego 5-2.
Okay, a win is a win is a win, right? Nah, not in fantasy baseball. Fantasy baseball players look at that 5-2 victory and they say, David Robertson, 7th inning? Huh? Adam Ottavino, 9th inning? What's going on here? What's going on is David Robertson was needed in the 7th inning. David Robertson had to be out there to get through the heart of the Padres order. He gets a hold. Depending on your league, holds count. Meanwhile, Ottavino comes on in the 9th inning to get the saves. Now, if you were to make a bet right now, who's the best chance for saves in that Mets bullpen, you'd go with Robertson. But what we saw yesterday speaks to what we're going to see from Showalter, what we're going to see from the Mets, what we see from baseball. Unless you have that no-holds-barred lockdown closer like a Clase, a Hader, even a Kenley Jansen, unless you got that guy, you're doing more mixing and matching. And right now, it's worked for the Mets. Here are the numbers for Robertson and Ottavino. 1 earned run allowed in 11 1/3 combined innings. They've given up 8 hits and 1 walk. They have 15 strikeouts. Hold saves. They don't care who's getting them. They just want outs. Right now, they're getting them. You look at the rest of that bullpen. It hasn't been a huge success for the Mets, but it's been good. Robertson and Ottavino, excellent. The other guys in that bullpen, if nothing else, are getting strikeouts. Right now, the Mets have 4 relief pitchers who have K per 9s of over 11. So they have some big arms to get some strikeouts. They're going to have issues. They will. Eventually, the Mets probably make a trade. I really believe that. If they consider themselves a contender come the trading deadline in late July, they'll make a move. Even if Robertson has 18 saves, they'll make a move. They'll strengthen the bullpen. It's something all contenders do. Now, depending on who's added, maybe Robertson becomes more of an 8th inning guy. Maybe Robertson still stays in the 9th inning. There's 100 different ways to skin that cat in the bullpen. But I think for the time being, whether you have Robertson or Ottavino, and believe me, Ottavino deserves to be owned in fantasy leagues. Robertson was pretty well drafted to be the guy. Ottavino, if he's available in your league, you add him because he's going to get good ratios. He always has. And he's going to get a handful of saves. You know, back-to-back days or things like we saw yesterday, there are saves to be had. Now, speaking of saves, I looked this up today because coming into the year, it's like, oh, there's no guys who you can just book for 35 saves. There's like 5 dudes. that's kind of the viewpoint. And then you lost Edwin Diaz, and right now Raisel Iglesias, another guy who you look for saves, he's injured. I looked at it today, entering today's baseball action. Already this year, we're less than 2 weeks into the season. Already this year, we have 54 relief pitchers with at least one save. Now, the Major League Baseball season is 26 weeks. So again, we've completed about 2 weeks, 1/13 of the season. I know the math's not perfect, but work with me here. About 1/13 of the season. If you were to say, okay, 54 relievers, at least one save, even those guys at the bottom, the pace, very dangerous game in April, but the pace is 13 saves, right? That's the pace. 54 guys on pace for at least 13 saves. Last season, we had only 27 relievers get to 13 saves. Why do I bring this up? I'm not saying that, guys, you getting saves from now, you're not going to get that. To an extent, yes. What I'm reminding you of is we have a ton of hills to scale and hills to fall down. There is a lot still to come with relievers. This is a position, no matter if I'm talking to you in April or June or July or even August, this is a position that's never settled. Guys are going down left and right. Guys are getting called up. Guys are getting saves you didn't think. Managers are changing opinion. Trades are happening, all that stuff. So even if right now you feel good about where you stand in saves, you're not home. You're not home at all. That is certainly one of those way too early. It's nice to get the saves. You'll take them. But you can't look at, I've gotten 2 saves from this guy. He's going to get me 20. 1/13 of the season. Kyle Offering told me. No. This thing's never settled. Now, if you have a Bednar or a Clase, okay, you're getting your saves. Both those guys have 4. I think there's 4 guys in baseball with 4 saves. So you're getting what you thought from those guys. But all those other guys who are helping you with saves, or if you're looking for saves and you're saying, this guy has 2 saves, all of these situations are different, and all of these situations are ever evolving. Moving to our 4th thing that mattered from yesterday. Let's talk about a guy down in Arlington, Texas, who led his squad to a pretty big win last night because it completed a 500 trip. And when you're the Kansas City Royals and you have to go to San Francisco and you have to go to Texas, you are yearning, you are targeting, you are hoping for a 500 road trip. Well, with last night's win in Texas, the Royals got their 500 road trip. They will be back home tomorrow. And they got it thanks to their future, if not current, superstar Bobby Witt, who was running and running and running on Wednesday night.
Junior goes on first movement. Vinny's taking all the way, and it's not even close. And Bobby has his 2nd stolen base of the night. And now Junior heads to third, and Leon's throw is going to be offline and late. And that's a 3 stolen base game for Bobby Witt Jr.
He's feeling it. Stolen bases is just like anything else. Confidence. Look at him. He's shuffling those feet. He's at full speed, quick.
Bally Sports out of Kansas City with the video there. A couple of steals by Bobby Witt, 3 of them on Wednesday night. Let's jump into Bobby Witt. Look at his numbers right now. Bobby Witt ain't doing much. He's hitting 229. His on-base percentage is 288. A couple of home runs, 6 RBIs, 6 runs, but he now has 5 stolen bases. Now, again, he's doing nothing. And he's got 5 steals. And 6 runs, 6 ribbies, 2 homers, doing nothing. That on-base percentage is bad, 290, but he's got 5 steals. Why do I keep coming back to 5 steals? If you have 5 steals right now, you know what your pace is? Your pace is like almost 60 for the season. That's your pace. Nobody steals 60 bases. And yes, rule changes, all that. But what I'm getting at with Bobby Witt is we haven't even gotten a good Bobby Witt, and we're still looking at a guy that, frankly, should go 30-30. He might go 25-50. He might go 30-60. Now, I'm dreaming big, but we're not getting anything from Bobby Witt, and we're getting these numbers. If that on-base percentage, again, it's 288. Get that sucker to 325, which with his skill set and what we've seen of him doing in the minors, 325 ain't all that hard. All of a sudden, you dream even bigger on stolen bases. So it's pretty crazy. This guy was off to a weak start. Is he performing like a top 5 hitter? That's what he was drafted as in the fantasy game. He was one of the first 5-6 names off the board. He really isn't. I mean, the stolen bases are helping, but the other numbers are light for Bobby Witt Jr. But man, oh man, it's a total hit. If you're going to have a guy with 40 steals, 50 steals, 60 steals, and beyond, it's a win. And right now, Bobby Witt hasn't even reached success, and he's getting those stolen bases. And think about it this way. I was looking at last year. Bobby Witt also had a slow April last season. This year, slow April. Last year, he did not get his 6th stolen base until the 38th game of the season. That was for number 6. Right now, the Royals have played 13 games in 5. So even last year, where he had a good stolen base total, he's blowing that away without getting on base. So that matters. Bobby Witt and those stolen bases. Finally, our 5th item from yesterday that matters. Sorry, no video on this one. We already gave you the agony of watching Byron Buxton getting upended. So I'm not going to force feed it down your throat and show you Corey Seager getting injured. Corey Seager of the Rangers actually was injured on Tuesday night, but we got the news yesterday that it's going to be a long-term injury. It is a hamstring strain for the Rangers shortstop. We are looking at least 4 weeks. He's off to a pretty decent start, high draft pick. Got nothing to tell you. Damn the luck if you're Corey Seager or you have Corey Seager on your fantasy team. My bigger point is this. Shortstop's been beat up this week. O'Neal Cruz, Tim Anderson, Corey Seager. I mean, even in the preseason, we lost Gavin Lux, Trevor Story. Shortstop is deep, but now shortstop is getting eaten up. And a lot of you might be looking at that position saying, what the heck do I do? Is there anybody out here? Let me throw a few names at you. And I don't want anybody to mistake these names for long-term answers, but maybe these can bridge the gap if you've got shortstop injuries. Here are the names. Jorge Mateo of Baltimore. Right now he's hitting .313, 6 stolen bases, and 2 homers. Now, in a lot of leagues, he's going to be owned purely because of the stolen bases, but double check him. Orlando Arcia. Of course, he was a surprising winner of the job in Atlanta in the preseason. Was off to a great start. He's got a .911 OPS, and Orlando Arcia has played every single game for the Atlanta Braves. So that would be a name. This next name you might be able to find in a lot of leagues. Geraldo Perdomo. Most people don't even know who he plays for. Perdomo is with Arizona. Now, there is a bit of a split with Nick Ahmed, but, I mean, Nick Ahmed is glove, and that's it. And Arizona, at this point, with 3-4 years of Nick Ahmed, they're probably getting tired of it. They're looking for something else. Maybe Perdomo is that guy. Now, understand you're talking about a guy who usually hits 8th or 9th in the Arizona batting lineup. But look at the results. The dude has an OPS right now over 1,200 on that OPS. Second base eligibility, not bad. Shortstop, second base. He's hot right now. Maybe he gets the job. Totally free on the waiver wire. And then one last name, if you are hurting for shortstops right now, Thairo Estrada of the San Francisco Giants. Hitting .340, couple of home runs, couple of steals. Estrada had a pretty solid 2022, but I don't think anybody was expecting more of the same in 2023. But he's actually been a middle of the order, everyday component for the San Francisco Giants. So Estrada, Perdomo, Arcia, and Mateo. Maybe one of those 4 guys. Short-term answers, bridge a gap, not going to cost you much. If you're looking for a shortstop, those could be your answers. Those are the 5 things that did matter from Wednesday night. Now we go to the look ahead. When we return right here on the 5-Pack, we are looking ahead to the Thursday of Major League Baseball action. I'll give you a preview of the 5 things that will matter in Major League Baseball today. First, though, let's hand it off to Moose, who's got some thoughts on Aaron Rodgers.
Here's my message to Jet fans on this Thursday. don't worry about Aaron Rodgers. He's eventually going to be a New York Jet. I saw the latest report yesterday that the two sides have not spoken in weeks, and the report on Yahoo saying that the Packers won a 2023 second-round pick and a 2024 first-round draft choice. Woody Johnson does not want to give up the first-rounder. At some point in time, somebody is going to blink. And as we inch closer and closer, as we are 2 weeks away from the first round of the NFL draft, I do believe right around the NFL draft, a deal will get done. The Packers do have a mandatory minicamp coming your way up in May. Do they really want Aaron Rodgers to be a part of that? He is going to be a Jet. Bakhtiari, his best friend on the Green Bay Packers, basically said as much a couple of days ago. I firmly believe, and I've said it for weeks, if not months, that eventually Aaron Rodgers is going to be a New York Jet. We all want it in the here and now, and I get that. Truth be told, there's no other team out there that's going to go get Aaron Rodgers. Maybe the San Francisco 49ers had a conversation with the Green Bay Packers. We're not anywhere close to them being a real threat to the Jets. It's the Jets, and it's only the Jets because you know what? That's also where Aaron Rodgers wants to play football in 2023. To me, that's kind of important, no? For more better content, check out the Better Sports Network app, bettersports.com, and at Better Network on all your social media platforms.
Welcome back to the 5-Pack. Next up, the 5 things that will matter. Here's Kyle Elfrink.
Good to have you back with us here on BSN. I want to remind you, coming up later today, we have the Fantasy Football Game Show with Simon, JL, and Joey. That's coming your way at 3 o'clock Eastern. I think today, what are we looking at? Brackets? I think that's what their little game is going to be. So if you have not caught that, check it out. Coming up on BSN later today at 3 o'clock Eastern. Of course, you can follow us online, bettersports.com. Give us a follow as well via Twitter at Better Network, and make sure that you get signed up for our daily newsletter that is delivered into your inbox each and every morning. I think we have a bet every single day, a play that one of our analysts, our personalities, does like for the upcoming day. In addition to that, I've got a play that I like for this Thursday. So we'll get to that momentarily. But again, check out that newsletter. I think you can get signed up over at bettersports.com. And as always, if you ever miss an edition of the 5-Pack with me, Kyle Elfrink, or anything else here on BSN, make sure to catch it on demand. That is available as well. Just $2.99 a month to get signed up, and you get access to everything that we do here at the Better Sports Network. Moving on to our 5 things that will matter. We've got a bit of a small slate in Major League Baseball today. That'll happen on a Thursday, which for a lot of teams is a travel day, a day off, if you will. 7 games coming your way. A couple of them start up in the next 30 to 40 minutes. So we've got the A's and the Orioles. That game gets going in about 40 minutes from now, and then about 45 minutes from now, it'll be the Rays and the Red Sox, and I will have some news on Tampa as they gun for 13-0. But I start with another team in the American League East for our 5 things that will matter today. The New York Yankees. Yes, more Yankees talk. Although it doesn't really deal with New York. It deals with the team they're hosting tonight, the Minnesota Twins. Now take a look at that image, folks. If you're a Twins fan, you've seen that way too often. A sad sack Minnesota pitcher staring to the dugout, perhaps looking to the heavens as a Yankee hitter rounds the base pass, and the crowd goes wild. That has happened a lot. Tonight, Minnesota back in the Bronx. This Bronx thing is pretty wild. Since the start of 2015, in regular season games, the Minnesota Twins are 3-21 at Yankee Stadium. If you include the postseason since the start of 2015, Minnesota falls. Yes, they can go lower. Minnesota falls to 3-24. Now, tonight they got Joe Ryan on the hill. Joe Ryan's a pretty good pitcher. Coming up in the series, it's a 4-game set in New York. Tyler Mahle, Kenta Maeda. Who else is pitching there for the Twins? Oh, Pablo Lopez, who was great the other night. Interestingly enough, none of those 4 pitchers, the 4 guys taking on the Yankees this week, none of them have ever beaten the Yankees, which is kind of crazy. You know, you're trying to break this streak, trying to figure out a way to get things rolling in your direction. It's crazy to think that you've got this kind of struggle against a single team. Or like, I get it, bad teams facing good teams. Oh, you're going to get beat up. But Minnesota's been a fairly good team. I would say, since 2015, probably 5 out of those 7 years. They're a good team this year. They're a playoff competitor, if you will, for 2023. And they're 3-21 at this stadium. There's a mental block going on here. So if they can find a way to win, if they can somehow, some way take like 3 of 4, hell, if they can take a split in this 4-game series, that's a win. Now, the problem is, as we talked about earlier, you're probably not going to have Byron Buxton. You don't have Joey Gallo. You don't have Jorge Polanco. You don't have Max Kepler. So you're going in a little bit wounded already. So we'll see. It'd be important to get just a win tonight, because you wonder how this thing snowballs if you show up this evening. Joe Ryan's on the hill. You're taking on Johnny Brito, the rookie, who's been fine, but I don't think he's anything special. You start off with a loss tonight. You just lost Byron Buxton, perhaps, to the IL. Ain't going to be fun in that Twins clubhouse. Item number 2 for things that will matter for later tonight. It's actually today. I mentioned that Rays-Red Sox game. We're getting set, perhaps, for the first time in 36 years. A long time. Now, I was around 36 years ago, but many of you may have not been. Back in 1987, the Milwaukee Brewers started the year 13-0. Today in Tampa, the Tampa Bay Rays trying to start 13-0. And those two guys, Franco and Arozarena, off to a great start. Now, there have been 2 teams, Milwaukee in 87 and the Atlanta Braves in 82, to start a year 13-0. I would say in the modern era. That's what Tampa's trying to do today, start 13-0. You might be wondering to yourself, well, what kind of edge do you gain if you start 13-0? Well, I'm glad you asked. In 1987, when Milwaukee started 13-0, they went 78-71 the rest of the way. They won 91 games. But back in 1987, you actually had to earn your way into the postseason. You don't have to do that as much in 2023. So Milwaukee, with 91 wins in 87, after a 13-0 start, they missed the playoffs. In fact, they finished 3rd in the American League East. They were like 7 games out in the American League East. And only 2 teams from each league made the playoffs back then. So that was our last 13-0 team. They didn't even make the postseason. The 82 Braves went 13-0. They went 76-73 the rest of the year, but they were good enough to win the NL West. So you look at the AL East now and what the Rays have done. It's magical. They're 12-0. They've got a 4-game edge on the New York Yankees. It's a huge leg up. It was said very well last night on the Rays broadcast. They said you would rather look at those wins, the 12 that you have now, than look for those victories. In other words, take the wins, man. You love having the wins. Yes, they've played the Nationals and the Tigers and the A's and a weakened Red Sox team. But give them credit. You can go a whole season in baseball and not a single team wins 13 games. To do it at the start of the year, and might I add, their ace isn't even a part of this team yet. Tyler Glasnow is maybe a month away from pitching for Tampa. It's impressive. I don't care how you cut it. And look at what they've done. Here they are, 1st in runs, 1st in homers, 1st in on-base percentage, 1st in slugging, 1st in OPS, 1st in total bases. They have the fewest whiffs in baseball. I think it's like 85 strikeouts in 12 games. So full-blown awesome. They are so awesome in this start that the guy who won for them last night, the guy making his major league debut, Taj Bradley, went 5 innings, gave up 3 runs. It was enough for the victory. Taj Bradley this morning got sent back to AAA. And that's what we talked about here on the 5-pack on Wednesday, is that's the way the Rays run it, is that, okay, Bradley comes up, but it's like one and done. Maybe they'll bring him back up 5-6 days from now. But for anybody who went crazy and picked up Taj Bradley, he got a nice start yesterday. Hopefully you got to take advantage of it. But he's back in the minors today. And they called it bullpen help. That's how the Rays do it. Going for 13-0. 110 is our first pitch. So what is that? 35 minutes from now. It's going to be Corey Kluber against Jeffrey Springs. And if the Tampa Bay Rays needed anything else to help them get to 13-0, here's one. Rafael Devers not in the lineup today. Not going to be in there. Rays, are they ever going to lose? Well, they don't have to worry about Devers today. Let's move to our third item. Is he ever going to go hitless? Jordan Walker, St. Louis Cardinals rookie. 12 games in his major league career. He has a hit in all 12. Now, you can probably pick out Jordan Walker here. He's the guy whose photo is in color. Who in the hell is the other guy? The other guy here is Eddie Murphy. Not Hall of Famer Eddie Murray, and not Hall of Fame comedian Eddie Murphy. This is Philadelphia A's outfielder? I don't even know. Eddie Murphy. 1912. Now, Eddie Murphy there looks pretty young, right? Even for 1912. Everybody looked young back then. Eddie Murphy is the current record holder, if you will, of starting a career at age 20 or younger with 12 consecutive games of getting a hit. Yesterday, Jordan Walker tied that record. Later tonight against Pittsburgh, Jordan Walker will look for that record. Now, what does this mean in the grand scheme of things? Really nothing. So why does this matter? What matters here with Jordan Walker is it shows the skill set we're working with. He's been a little lucky. I think anytime you have a 12-game hitting streak, you're a little lucky. Let's be honest. But what he's doing right now is not like clubbing a bunch of home runs. Jordan Walker's just being a hitter. He's putting the ball in play and letting it do what it may. And Jordan Walker came up seen as a guy with 30 home run potential, and he's got a couple of home runs. It's not like he's blooping, the ball over the second baseman every time up. But Walker is showing kind of a complete approach at the plate. Now, there are still issues. I mean, if you look at his K to walk ratio, he's got 11 strikeouts to 1 walk. He's being plenty aggressive. I think his BABIP is like around 380. There are a handful of guys, maybe 3-4 guys every year who hold on to a BABIP of 380. So maybe Walker's going to be one of those 3 or 4 players, but it's unlikely that he is. So things will pull back. But Walker's legit. Like, it's good that he's kind of jumping into the conscience of some baseball fans. And he had that spring training, and that got people excited for sure. I think the real thing with Walker, and maybe we see it as soon as tonight. Earlier in the week, I was talking about Wilson Contreras. And I said, man, Cardinals are in Coors Field. Let's get it going, Wilson. You're batting 5th every single night, first year with the new team, but you haven't had success. Maybe Colorado will be that elixir for Wilson Contreras. Instead, 3 games at Coors Field and more of the same. Just a bunch of blah. Wilson Contreras, who's mostly been the number 5 hitter for the Cardinals this year. If you look at their 5th spot in the order this year, your OPS from the guys hitting 5th. So this is a power and production spot in the lineup. The Cardinals' OPS from the 5th spot in the lineup is 573. Their OPS plus is 60. For those not familiar with OPS plus, that number 60 means that the guys that the Cardinals have been batting 5th in the lineup, are on average 40% weaker than just an average hitter. Not the average 5th hitter either. That's the average hitter anywhere. They got a 60 on the OPS plus. You might wonder, well, what's Jordan Walker's OPS plus? His OPS plus is 131, which is more than twice as good as what the Cardinals have been getting from the number 5 spot in the order, and it's 31% better than the average hitter. His OPS is 850. What's the OPS of the Cardinals' 5th spot in the order? Again, it's 570. Here's the question. Does Jordan Walker go to number 5? Are the Cardinals ready to make that move? He's 2 weeks into his MLB career. You're not getting anything from your 5 hole. You're paying a guy in Wilson Contreras about $18 million to be that 5 hitter. It's not doing well. Dare you make the switch? Dare it happen tonight against Pittsburgh? Dare it happen in the midst of this historic start to an MLB career? That is the question for the Cardinals. They will get going tonight, 7:45 Eastern, taking on the Pittsburgh Pirates. Moving along to item number 4 in our rundown of what will matter for tonight. Let's talk about Cincinnati and Philadelphia. Philadelphia struggling. Cincinnati's actually been pretty decent. All eyes tonight should be on Nick Lodolo. Nick Lodolo, that left-hander for the Reds, last time out against Philadelphia, he struck out 12 Phillies. That was 5 days ago. Tonight is the rematch for Nick Lodolo. And thus far on the season, yesterday we talked about his teammate Hunter Green. Hunter Green's always hitting 100 miles on the fastball. Hunter Green throws a little harder than Nick Lodolo, but Nick Lodolo gets the whiffs. Right now he's got 21 punch-outs in 12 innings on the season. And again, Philadelphia last time, 5 days ago, he struck out 12 Phillies. Philadelphia strikes out 26% of the time. That is the 5th worst mark in all of baseball. So tonight, Nick Lodolo, give me 10 whiffs, baby. Give me 10 whiffs. You can do that in 5 innings, 5.5 innings. I want to point you in the direction, too, speaking of Lodolo. And I saw this right before the show. I had already planned to talk a bit about Lodolo and to promote his start against the Phillies tonight. If you go to Fangraphs.com, the writer, let me make sure I got Michael Bauman with the write-up, talking specifically about Lodolo. And this is not my work at all. This is totally Fangraphs, Michael Bauman. They do a great job with kind of the advanced look at guys. Looking at Lodolo. And in effect, what has occurred here for Nick Lodolo is the Reds have shifted him to the extreme left of the rubber. Remember, he's a left-handed pitcher. They've moved him to the first base side of the rubber. His release point, he's a big guy. He's like 6'6" or something. His release point, where he lets go of the ball, is actually not all that extensive. In fact, in a way of, thinking about it, he throws the ball before he's fully extended, yet he still throws hard. Additionally, he has a low arm slot. So you put these 3 things together. Low arm slot, kind of letting go of the ball before full extension, and then lining up on the far left of the rubber. As a left-handed pitcher, and this is the piece this is the statement Fangraphs makes, Michael Bauman in the article. His movement horizontally, where he lets go from left to right, is extreme. He sees a lot of, for lack of a better term, slide with his pitch. It just goes left, right. And for a left-handed hitter, it starts off, you're swinging from the left side. You think, oh my gosh, it's going to hit me. And it ends up flying to the other side of the plate. For a right-hander, oh my God, that's a ball. Oh no, it's coming in on me for a strike. So you throw these 3 things together where he positions himself on the rubber, where he lets go of the ball, and then also the arm slot, which is lower. It's tough on hitters. It's really tough on hitters. Strikeouts are piling up. They might pile up again tonight. 6:40 Eastern for the game in Cincinnati, as the Phillies will try and figure out Nick Lodolo. Finally, one last thing that will matter for the day. And again, we've got a shortened slate for today. So I'll give you a bet. We haven't done a bet around these parts all week. So let me give you a bet. Let's go to Milwaukee and San Diego. It's going to be a fun one late tonight. Milwaukee and San Diego. Right now, we do not have confirmation on Milwaukee's starter. This could very well be a bullpen game. For San Diego, it's going to be Nick Martinez. Nick Martinez is pretty well a bullpen game. By the way, he hasn't been good this year as a starter. He was not good last season as a starter. Here's my bet. Let's go with the over on 9 runs scored tonight between Milwaukee and San Diego. Minus 110 on that play. I don't like either side of the pitching matchup. Now, again, there's a chance, I guess, Eric Lauer could be in there for Milwaukee tonight, but I think they're going to go with a bullpen game to open up this series. If they go Lauer, I'll pull back a bit. I would also maybe expect that number to drop to 8.5. Right now it's at a 9 as the Padres are still determining, or the Brewers are still determining who's going to be their starter. But both these offenses can get it done. Milwaukee is like upper half in things like home runs and OPS. William Contreras, red hot. I think Contreras has a 9-game hitting streak coming into tonight. On the San Diego side, now, if you look at their early offensive numbers, they're not going to look all that astounding. Like you're going to see, like they're 10th in batting average and 8th in OBP, like nothing that jumps out. But I'll remind you, the last 7 days, they've played the Mets and the Braves. Probably two of the best pitching staffs in all of baseball. So this early in the season, you expect those numbers to be down. I'm taking advantage of it. The Padres have been hitting home runs too. I think they're number one in the NL in home runs. They're not to the Tampa Bay Rays level, but they're number one in the NL in home runs. So I'm going with Juan Soto, who's got multi-hit games in 3 of his last 5. Xander Bogaerts already has 3 home runs in San Diego this year. So give me the over. Brewers and Padres over 9. A little wagering action here on the 5-pack. Those are the 5 things that will matter for this Thursday night. When we return, it's the pack in the 5-pack. We're opening up some Upper Deck hockey. Our vintage pack takes us to 1991. After this on the Better Sports Network.
Shout out to the Chicago Bulls for being the first 10th seed in play-in tournament history to win a game. Myself, as a guy that was on the Bulls' money line last night versus the Raptors, I got to give a special shout out in the game ball to daughter of DeMar DeRozan, DR DeRozan. And the reason why she's getting the game ball, the Raptors had a 19-point lead in this game in their home building. This young lady was screaming while they were at the free throw line. Now, it happens all the time. But for some odd reason, the screams of a 9-year-old girl in an NBA arena proved to be very effective because the Toronto Raptors, who shot 78% from the free throw line as a team during the season, shot 18 of 36, 50%, missing 18 free throws in the most important game of the year. Let this be a lesson to everyone, children and kids alike. Show up and participate, and you never know what could happen. For more better content, check out Better Sports Network app, bettersports.com, and at Better Network on social media.
Time now for the Daily Pack Rip on the 5-pack with Kyle Elfrink.
Welcome back in. A few more minutes to go. Got a replay of Moose and Keith coming your way as soon as I sign off here. We'll be back again tomorrow, 12 o'clock Eastern, taking a look back at what occurred in baseball on Thursday and a look ahead to a very busy Friday. And that will complete 1 week already here on the 5-pack. If you've been with us all week, you know that at the end of the show, we have a little fun with packs, right? We've done a couple of baseball. We did some basketball yesterday. And in the interest of fair time, thought I'd do a little hockey today. And we'll go to our friends at Upper Deck. No, I'm not going to sit here and sing the praises again of Upper Deck, but they're great, okay? 1991 hockey. This is the first year, I do believe. Maybe the second year, but I think the first year of Upper Deck hockey. Yesterday, we did not find the Jerry West autograph. Great thing about card packs, though, is there's always another autograph to hunt down. In this particular set, Upper Deck Hockey, there are 2,500 Brett Hull autographs that are randomly inserted. So let's see what we get. We'll see what I'm talking about as I open up this pack. Gotta tell you, man, better than wax packs. This foil stuff, way better. Way, way better. Okay, our insert. I laughed about this a few weeks ago. We did another one of these packs a few weeks ago, and it's so hilarious. All-Star game was in Philadelphia. You know, you have all-star ballots. Their ballot was in the pack. Okay, that's cool. You'd actually have to get on a dial phone. You'd get on a phone, and if you wanted a certain player, you'd punch in their number. And you had to pay to vote for the All-Star game. Better not let the NFL learn that that's how they used to do it. If the NFL learns that, hey, 30 years ago, people paid to vote in the All, or baseball even. Oh, my gosh. We don't want that to happen. Okay, let's get this pack rolling, shall we? We will start with Jeff Courtnall of the Vancouver Canucks. Traditionally, when we talk about ugly uniforms in the NHL, this one gets mentioned. I don't think it's all that bad. And the way this usually works in life is like something is so bad that it eventually becomes good. I think this Vancouver Canucks jersey has done that. Like now when you see it's like, oh man, that's badass. That's really cool. Back in the day, this was considered hideous. And finally, the Vancouver Canucks made a change. They got rid of the team colors were black, yellow, and orange. They said, okay, Halloween is not going to be every single night. So let's move on. So they got rid of these jerseys eventually. But, they've kind of aged gracefully, I guess you could say. Wow, card number 1. Is that right? Yeah, holy moly. Hey, if you can help me on that, what do they call it? Cyrillic right there. See next to his name, Vladimir Malakov, and then see what's next. Anybody know? I think that translates to Soviet stars. I mean, my Russian's rusty, but I think that's what it translates to. This is card number 1. Check that out. Card number 1. Now, I believe that Mr. Malakov actually had a jersey with some kind of emblem. But back in the day when we weren't, well, I shouldn't say back in the day. I don't think we're very friendly with the Ruskies now. But back in the day, we really weren't. And so you'd airbrush the sickle and scythe out. You can see it there at the bottom, though, the sickle and scythe. And then you also get more Cyrillic or whatever it is. Good stuff. There you go. Card number 1 in the set. I don't think Malakov became much after appearing as card number 1. Now, I was just talking about Vancouver's jersey. Got to say, one of my all-time favorite jerseys, a classic from the Buffalo Sabres. I actually had this jersey. It was a replica. It was a very cheap replica. But growing up, I had a Buffalo Sabres. Loved myself. Not only Pat LaFontaine, who is from St. Louis, but I loved Alexander Mogilny, who's about this era in the 91 Upper Deck. So maybe we'll get a Mogilny card here. Enrico Ciccone. Is that right? Enrico Ciccone? Does this guy make Westerns? Enrico Ciccone, defenseman for the North Stars. Did they change? I guess they would have still been in Minnesota at this point. Yeah, the Minnesota North Stars. You can see it there on his shorts. The N with the North Star. So that was before they moved to Dallas. Ancient history here. Wow. Here's a draft day photo of a guy I've never heard of. Drafted, looks like, what was it, in Czech Republic or something? Sandy McCarthy, right wing for the Flames. Man, and I'm sure everybody looks at their draft day photo and they're just embarrassed. Like, you just look like a dork. Here's a hat that you've never worn, put it on. Here's a jersey you've never worn, put it on. And oh yeah, stand with a hockey stick that isn't yours and take a photo for Upper Deck. I get you, Sandy McCarthy. Rough life. In net, remember this name, Chris Thierry of the New Jersey Devils. Back before they gussied up the goaltender's helmet. Back in the day, you'd just say, you're not a superstar. You get this blank canvas. Just throw on a red hat, Chris. How about that? Now, see, if you were cooler and you were better, you'd get an upgraded helmet. You'd get the Tom Barrasso version. See, he actually got some penguins on his. And here, I talked about this yesterday with Upper Deck. We were opening up that basketball set, and they had the horizontal Otis Thorpe. Here's your horizontal Tom Barrasso, goaltender for the Stanley Cup champion Pittsburgh Penguins. He also got horizontal on the back. I mean, action heavy with this Upper Deck card. Here's an oldie but a goodie. Man, how old was he at this point? Born in 1959, so he only would have been 32. But I look at Dirk Graham, and you tell me, does Dirk Graham look 32? Nah. Dirk Graham looks like he's 42, right? That's what Dirk Graham looks like. Dirk Graham appears like somebody who should be standing near the flag at a soccer field for some youth league right now, cheering on his son. Dirk Graham racing up and down the ice. Love that bushy mustache right there. Here's another Minnesota North Star. Man, these names are getting wild. Gaetan Duchesne. Gaetan Duchesne. Maybe that's how you would say it. And here's another example of action. Now, I got to tell you, kiddos, back in the 80s Anything pre-upper deck, you didn't get action shots. I mean, check that out. The goaltender's trying to push the puck away. Mr. Duchesne is trying to find the net. Like, that's action. Believe it or not, you never got this with any cards. Basketball, baseball, hockey, nothing like that. Football even. Man, we are really digging deep on this set. I'm going to sneak a quick look. Man, we don't have much coming your way. If you're looking for like superstars, it ain't happening with this 91 upper deck start. Yuri Sejba. Now, of course, you now know he plays for the Sabres, but would you have guessed that? Yuri Sejba? I do not know a Yuri Sejba. Now, there's the away sweater for Buffalo. Probably better than the white one, don't you think? I mean, I'll take either, but the away one's pretty sharp. Moving on, we find a Boston Bruin, Bob Sweeney. Bob Sweeney looks like a friendly old guy. A little chuckle-worthy photo. Now, see, here's the comparison, folks. This is a typical hockey photo before 1990. Like, that's what they all looked like. And here's like a hockey photo in 1991. So you can see the difference there. This is the old one. This is what we used to be. Every guy in the NHL got this photo. Not so much anymore. Finally, our 12th and last card in this very underwhelming pack rip. I apologize. Hey, I don't know where the pack rip's going to take me. I just let it take me where it may. Sean Cronin of the Winnipeg Jets. Oh, my God. I mean, this photo, if you didn't know any better, like if you didn't have the upper deck stuff at the top, you'd think this was a photo from 1979, right? Like that looks more like back in the day when Gretzky played for the who was the team? He played like for an Indianapolis squad. I can't remember the nickname of that team, but like these old Jofa. I think it was like a Jofa hockey helmet. I mean, seriously, nobody's getting protected by that. The guy doesn't have glass in front of his eyes. His helmet is a shell. Nobody's getting. Come on, this wasn't safe back in the day. We know that. Look at this. Just take a close look. You think that's going to stop or keep you from getting your brain busted if a puck hits that thing? It's a shell. Sean Cronin is lucky that he didn't end up in a hospital for months on end. Wow, this pack. We've opened a lot of packs here on BSN. Lots of packs. I wonder, maybe I'll check this out. Have any of these guys, I mean, Tom Barrasso is known. And Jeff Courtnall kind of known. After that, that's 2 cards out of 12. These other guys, Dirk Graham, I think, had a pretty decent career. I mean, he stuck around for a while. But, like, I'm looking at these guys. Sean Cronin, Bob Sweeney, Gaetan Duchesne, Yuri Sejba, Dirk Graham, Chris Terreri, Sandy McCarthy, Enrico Ciccone, Darcy Lowen, and Vladimir Malikov? I mean, did we get a combined 10 cards here? I wonder if these guys combine for, in this season, even 200 points. 10 guys. We may have not gotten there. That may be my homework assignment overnight. Tell you what, hockey. You know, I wanted to stick in a little hockey. You know, getting ready for the postseason. It's kind of an exciting time. Go back to the, 3 decades ago upper deck. I thought it'd be kind of fun today. I blew it. It wasn't fun, was it? It was bad. Hockey, you are on probation. We won't be touching a hockey pack for a while, I promise you that. We're back at you tomorrow, 12 Eastern. More of the 5-pack with me, Kyle Allfrank, right here on the Better Sports Network.